What the mainstream media was afraid to tell you about the news this week. This week, while the mainstream media was obsessing about President Trump drinking water, here are the things that happened that really matter. The Fulton County District Attorney, Paul Howard, who charged Atlanta police officer Garrett Wolfe with felony murder for the shooting of Rayshard Brooks after Brooks assaulted Wolfe, stole his taser and aimed the taser at the cop. The DA claims the police officer was never in imminent threat of serious bodily injury or death. But 2 weeks ago, this same district attorney charged police officers with assault for aiming a taser at a Black Lives Matter protester, calling the taser at the time, quote, a deadly weapon under Georgia state law, end quote. But did the mainstream media report on his utter unjust hypocrisy from the Fulton County DA? No, they didn't. Google threatens to demonetize The Federalist over their comments section after NBC News tattled on The Federalist to Google. That's right, NBC's so-called news verification unit, whatever that means, brought to Google's attention comments on The Federalist, which Google then labeled dangerous and derogatory, and said no ads would be allowed to run if those comments remained. This, by the way, from the parent company of YouTube. Have you ever seen YouTube comments? To call it a cesspool would be an understatement. But did the mainstream media report that Google was selectively targeting conservative-leaning websites? No. The mainstream media was actually part of the attack. Oklahoma State University football coach Mike Gundy caves to the rage mob and apologizes for wearing an OAN t-shirt, saying, quote, once he learned how that network felt about Black Lives Matter, I was disgusted and knew it was completely unacceptable, end quote. But this false premise was based on a lie, a selectively edited video of me circulated by a former Daily Beast staffer who claimed that I said Black Lives Matter is a farce. No, I said the Black Lives Matter group is a farce because they claim to care about black lives, but they ignore the 2,500 black people who are killed every year by other black people. They ignore the 20 million unborn black babies killed by abortion. The Black Lives Matter group also lies to black people about police-involved shootings to foment support for their political goals, which they admit is Marxism. But did the mainstream media tell you the truth? Of course not. The mainstream media repeated the Daily Beast lie without researching the truth for themselves. The rise of COVID-19 cases in Florida is not a sign of a second wave of the virus. Contrary to what the mainstream media is reporting, the increase in the number of positive tests in Florida is due to an increased number of tests, including tests on people without symptoms. Furthermore, the median age of people testing positive for COVID-19 in Florida has fallen from 65 years old to 37 years old, which means the fatality rate is also going to plummet. Plus, Governor Ron DeSantis says even at the peak of COVID-19 in Florida, they never used more than 3.5% of hospital beds for COVID-19 patients. But did the mainstream media report the facts to you? No, they did not. As New York Governor Andrew Cuomo dismisses concerns about his disastrous COVID-19 nursing home policy and the thousands of deaths that occurred thanks to his forcing nursing homes to admit patients with COVID-19, dismisses these concerns as a shiny object. New York City contact tracers have also been instructed not to ask anybody who tests positive for COVID-19 whether or not they attended a Black Lives Matter protest. But did the mainstream media report on either of these two stories? No. The mainstream media still praises Cuomo for handling COVID-19, even though he handled it worse than any other governor in the nation. The mainstream media does not care to report any of that to you, so we will.